We live in a world that celebrates the fast and flashy. We love to hear stories of overnight success. The brilliant business idea that took someone from rags to riches. The college dropout who built a $1 billion company from their dorm room. The day trader who turned $1,000 into $100,000 in 6 months. But here's what is missing from these stories. That for every overnight success you hear about, there are thousands of people who tried the exact same approach and lost everything. We celebrate the outliers and ignore the casualties. We focus on the lottery winners and forget about everyone else who bought the losing tickets. Well, that is why I'm obsessed with slow wealth. As the name of this channel, Financial Tortoise, implies, the slow and steady path to wealth. Because I'm a firm believer that the better path to wealth is not through the fast and flashy. Rather, it is through the slow and boring. So let's get into why I believe we should all embrace this timeless slow wealth strategy that never fails. The first reason why I advocate so strongly for slow wealth. And this one is important because it is embarrassingly simple. It is a proven path, very well proven. Throughout history, millions, if not hundreds of millions of people have followed this slow approach and it has worked. Many have built immense amounts of wealth following the slow and steady path. But why do we not talk more about the slow and steady path to wealth? It is because we live in a society that loves to celebrate the extremes, sensational stories of wealth. The slow and steady path is just so boring. There is no excitement. However, when we look at the actual statistics, this path has worked for the majority of wealth builders out there. According to research by Fidelity, 88% of millionaires are self-made, and the majority built their wealth through consistent investing over decades, not through get-rich-quick schemes. And according to Millionaire Next Door, the authors Thomas Stanley and Willem Danko found that the average age of millionaires was 57 years old. Not 25, not 35, 57. This means that most millionaires spend decades building their wealth slowly and steadily. Bottom line, in the world of wealth building, many of us mistakenly believe that we need to come up with some brilliant new idea to make money. And that path has to be lightning fast. The overnight rags to riches story. However, statistics show that that is not the path most self-made wealthy individuals take. Most got there by embracing the slow and steady path to wealth. They follow basic money principles such as living below their means, staying out of debt, and investing consistently over decades. And then with enough time, they all eventually achieved wealth. Hearing such narratives gives me comfort because it shows that wealth is not based on some arbitrary luck, but something that is within my control as long as I follow the right principles and do it consistently for a long enough time. The second reason why I advocate so much for slow wealth. You make a lot less dumb money mistakes. When you ditch the idea of trying to get rich overnight and embrace the slow and steady path to wealth, you just make less dumb money mistakes. And I know this too well because I am the king of dumb money mistakes. You name it, I've probably done it. Let me share with you some. When I was 22 years old, after having gotten my first big boy job, because I want to show everyone that I really was a big boy, I bought rent-to-own furniture and ended up spending 2 years afterwards paying upwards of 10% in interest alone. When I was 23 years old, because I was very insecure about investing, I handed over all my money to a financial advisor who promised me I would surely beat the market with his investing strategy. I never saw it beat the market once. When I was 24 years old, I bought a brand new Volvo S40 because I wanted to impress all the ladies. However, I could barely afford a monthly payment, and that insecurity probably showed in my behavior because trust me, that Volvo S40 did not get me all the ladies. Now, the common theme to all these dumb money mistakes in my 20s was that I was trying to get to my destination too quickly. I was buying things before I could actually afford them because I wanted to impress people. I was investing in risky investments because I wanted to double my money quickly. However, when we embrace a slow and steady path to wealth, we give ourselves the space and time to see the bigger picture and make better decisions. We see that there is absolutely no reason to ever buy rent-to-own furniture because we don't need to try to impress anyone. We come to see that we don't need to try to beat the market. If we embrace the market returns and just sustain it for a long enough time, it will make us millionaires, if not multimillionaire over the long run. And we said there is no reason to buy a brand new car to impress people because honest truth is that no one really cares. Bottom line, understand that wealth is built when we choose not to spend the money, not when we buy things, especially useless dumb things. And when we embrace a slow and steady path to wealth, it makes us that extra 1% wiser with our decision making. Alright, before we go on, I want to share with you a free tool I think you'll find really valuable in your financial wealth journey. So in the course of my content creation journey, I've had the good fortune of interacting with hundreds, if not thousands of people about money. And do you know what I noticed through all those interactions? That we all have different natural talents and strengths when it comes to money. Some of you are amazing at tracking every penny in your bank account. Others, not so much. However, you have the patience to not panic during market crashes. which is why I created the Money Superpower quiz to help you identify exactly what your best financial strengths are. Once you've identified them, you can lean into those strengths and build a wealth strategy that actually works with your natural tendencies. The whole quiz takes just a few minutes, and when you're done, you'll get a personalized roadmap showing you exactly how to best leverage your unique money superpower. It's my small gift to you for spending your precious time admiring my ridiculous amazing here today. So go to the link in the video description below and take the quiz today. The third reason why I advocate so much for slow wealth. When you embrace the path to slow wealth, it has the effect of mitigating the comparison game. Back then, the main reason I made all those dumb money mistakes was that I was constantly comparing myself to others and trying to keep up with the Joneses. I wanted to look successful, look wealthy, look like I had it all figured out, and I wanted to get there as quickly as possible. However, instead of getting me there sooner, all I did was add more time to my journey. When I was focused on appearing wealthy today, I made terrible financial decisions. But when you embrace the path to slow wealth, it completely changes this toxic mindset. You know you're on a proven path that has worked for millions of people over decades, and this understanding gives you a sense of quiet confidence. You know that if you stick to your plan over a long period of time, you will eventually get there. It is not a question of maybe, hopefully, or if. You will. The only variable is when. Alright, this quiet confidence is powerful, but what if you still mess up along the way? What if you, like me, are a slow learner who needs multiple mistakes to get the lesson? Well, here's the beautiful thing about slow wealth. It actually helps you smooth out those mistakes to the point of almost irrelevance over the long period, which leads to the next point. The fourth reason why I advocate so much for slow wealth. Your dumb money mistakes? No worries, my friend. When you pursue a path of slow wealth, they have a tendency to disappear over time. Don't be hard on yourself if you made your share of dumb money mistakes. I've made tons, and if you're watching this video, you're in good company, my friend. Because let's be frank, who doesn't make mistakes, right? But the beautiful thing about when you pursue the path to slow wealth is that many of those mistakes tend to disappear over time. When you go slow, you're in a way extending your time horizon. Instead of saying I need to become rich this year, you're saying I want to become rich in 10 years. And when you have a long time horizon, the time in effect has a way of smoothing out your mistakes. Your income was cut by 20% this year? Well, no worries, because over the period of a decade, your average income actually increased by 5% per year on average. The market tanked the last 3 years? Well, no worries, because it actually appreciated the 7 years prior to that. So your investment actually doubled when looking at it in a 10-year time frame. Or if you, like me, made tons of dumb money mistakes when you're 23 years old, well, 20 years have passed, and the chances are you probably can't even remember what your money mistakes were, right? How many of us can think of examples where an event at the time felt like it was the end of the world? But with enough time, we forgot that it even happened. When you take a slow and steady approach to wealth with long time horizon, the activities that we thought would ruin us are just speed bumps in hindsight. The fifth reason why I advocate so much for slow wealth. We're now starting to get into some math. You start to unlock the magic of compounding. When you take a long-term horizon to building wealth, you allow compounding to do its amazing work. The secret magic formula to supercharging your wealth. Compounding is simply the process by which money grows on top of each other. When you invest your money in the stock market and it compounds, not only do we earn returns on our original investment, but also on gains from previous years that were left in the account. The longer we keep our original investment and the gains from the investment in the market, money builds up on top of each other. We often underestimate the power of compounding because it's hard to wrap our head around it. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say your investment earns 8% a year. If we invested $10,000 and there was no compounding, we would earn $800 every year, and after 10 years, we would have an additional $8,000 on top of our $10,000 original investment, making the total portfolio amount $18,000. After 20 years, $26,000. After 30 years, $34,000. Not bad, but not that impressive either after so many years. However, when we factor in compounding, take a look at the numbers. After 10 years, we have $22,000. After 20 years, we have $47,000. 30 years, this is where it gets really haywire. Over $100,000. Again, no compounding after 30 years, you have $34,000. With compounding, over $100,000. Almost 3 times the amount. This is why Einstein allegedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. It is not just growth, it is exponential growth that accelerates over time. And when you pursue a slow path to wealth, you're really tapping into this magic formula to supercharge your wealth building because you're giving time for your money to grow. 8 or 10% return on the stock market may not seem like much, but when compounding is at work, your money will double essentially every 7 to 9 years. If you don't get distracted by the get-rich-quick schemes and the need for speed, the compounding alone will eventually make you wealthier than you can have ever imagined. The number 6 reason why I advocate so much for slow wealth. From a quality of life perspective, it is just so much less stressful. Fast is stressful. Have you ever been on a roller coaster or in a car going at 100 miles per hour? It is not a fun place to be at. In the same way, when we try to make money quickly, stress is a given. You might get into day trading because you see ads everywhere talking about how people are making thousands overnight. But day trading is as stressful as you can get. Show me a day trader who is at peace, and I'll show you a leprechaun at the end of the rainbow. It does not exist. Or you might over-leverage yourself because you read somewhere that when you use debt well, you can shortcut your way to financial success. Thus, you borrow money to invest. But what happens when the market or your investment goes sideways? You get an ulcer trying to manage your interest payment on top of your declining asset. Some individuals I see jumping from job to job every few months in the spirit of trying to make as much money as possible in the shortest period of time. Now, ensuring that you're being paid market value is important. However, jumping from job to job constantly probably is not the best way to maximize your salary. You're not giving a position enough time and energy required to make you truly competitive. Building career capital. Additionally, moving jobs every few months is quite stressful. You have to get acquainted with new colleagues, a new company, and a new way of doing things every few months. As you can see, when we're fixated on trying to make money quickly, we naturally get ourselves into stressful situations. Situations that are not great for our mental and emotional health. But with slow wealth, because we have no desire to try to get rich this month or this year, and because we know we have a long time horizon, our mind and our emotions have room to breathe. The number 7 reason. In the line of mental and emotional peace, you develop patience. Benjamin Graham, known as the father of value investing, preached patience as one of the key traits of successful investing. He once said, in the end, how your investment behaves is much less important than how you behave. Well, you know what is great when you pursue the path to slow wealth? You naturally develop this crucial skill to investing and wealth building. Patience. Investing is naturally a long-term endeavor. Many people call some short-term get-rich-quick schemes also investing, but most often they're just quick business transactions, or just sometimes outright gambling. If you want to make sustainable wealth from investing in the market, you have to wait years, if not decades. You don't make money in the market in weeks or months. Some people might say they did, but be very careful with those individuals. They either got super lucky or just straight out lying. But I know, being patient is hard. Humans are not naturally patient beings. For thousands of years, we humans had to learn to quickly react to threats in order to survive. See a man-eating lion coming your way? Patience will not get you very far. Quick reaction is what will save you. So we have a tendency to quickly react to negative market news or decline in our market portfolio. We perceive it as a threat and our fight or flight response kicks in. Sell, move money, do something. But in order to win in the market, we have to hold steady. We need to have patience. And when we pursue the slow wealth philosophy, we see the big picture, the long time horizon, and we hold our position and in turn, grow our patience muscle. The beautiful thing is that this patience muscle doesn't just help with our investing, it helps with everything else in life. You become more thoughtful in your decisions, less reactive to short-term setbacks, and more focused on what truly matters in the long run. The number 8 and the final reason why I advocate so much for slow wealth. And this is my personal favorite. In the game of wealth, there is no prize for being first. Honest truth is that the wealth building journey is not a race we're running against each other towards some arbitrary finish line. We're all very different individuals. Thus, everyone's financial situation, goals, and desires are different. One person may want to have enough money to travel the world all year round. Another person might want to have enough money to fund their kids' college education and a quiet cabin in the mountains. My money goal 5 years ago was to have enough financial cushion to quit my day job to start a hair grooming YouTube channel. Well, that didn't work out too well, so I had to resort to my fourth option, which was to talk about money. So to rush into trying to make money quickly, especially thinking you're trying to beat someone else, is itself quite ridiculous. Who are you trying to beat? What race are you trying to win? In the journey to wealth, there is no prize for being first place because there is no race in the first place. And this realization is liberating. It means you can stop worrying about what everyone else is doing with their money. You can stop feeling behind because your neighbor bought a Tesla or your coworker got a promotion. You can focus entirely on your own journey, your own timeline, and your own definition of financial success. When you embrace a slow wealth pathway, you're not trying to be the fastest. You're just trying to be more consistent. You're not trying to beat the market. You're just trying to follow the market. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just trying to build a lasting financial security. So go slow, smell the roses, and enjoy the journey. Because in the end, the only person that you're competing with is yesterday's version of yourself. Thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to learn more about a concept that pairs really well with this idea of slow wealth, which is quiet wealth, please check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.